This is Satoru Fujinuma, a 29-year-old guy working as a manga artist. But honestly, Satoru's work kept getting rejected left and right by editors and agencies because his stories lacked that spark. They were always super bland. That was mostly because he was dealing with some heavy isolation and depression. Eventually, Satoru had to ditch his dream of making manga and ended up delivering pizzas just to get by. Now Satoru has this crazy superpower. His ability lets him jump back in time a few minutes whenever a tragedy is about to go down, giving him a chance to step in and stop it. One day, while he was out on a delivery, time suddenly looped back. Satoru knew right away that something bad was about to happen. Sure enough, he spotted a huge truck barreling down on a little kid. He rushed over to the truck only to find the driver dead at the wheel, foot slumped on the gas, and the truck wasn't stopping. He quickly grabbed the steering wheel, veered the truck away, and saved the kid. But since he wasn't looking, a car blindsided him. Satoru woke up in the hospital, and Eri, his high school coworker from the pizza joint, came to check on him. Once Satoru was back on his feet and went home, he found his mom waiting there. She told him she was crashing at his place for the night, which threw him off since he was used to living solo. That night before hitting the sack, his mom saw a news report on TV about a child kidnapping. She turned to Satoru and said, "Remember that kidnapping case from back when you were in the 5th grade?" Satoru started remembering how, back in 5th grade, 2 of his classmates were kidnapped and murdered. Back then, Satoru used to hang out and talk with an older guy they called Jun, but a few days after the incidents, Jun was busted for the kidnapping of Satoru's 2 friends. Satoru was deeply messed up by the whole thing, especially since one of the victims was a girl named Ko, whom he really cared about. On the day she went missing, Satoru saw her and always felt eating alive by guilt for not walking her home. When the cops called Satoru in to testify, he insisted, "I'm telling you, Jun is innocent. He's not the kidnapper." Fast forward back to the present. The next day, Satoru went to the supermarket with his mom. Right after they walked out, time looped back again. He thought, alright, something's about to go down right now. Satoru kept scanning the area for anything suspicious, and his mom looked around with him until she caught a guy trying to snatch a little girl. But when the guy noticed her watching, he backed off and let the girl go. After it happened, Satoru's mom said, "Wait, that guy who tried to snatch the kid, I know him." She kept racking her brain trying to figure out who he was, and by the next day it clicked. She realized that guy is the actual kidnapper from Satoru's childhood friend's case. When Satoru said Jun wasn't the killer, he was totally right. The kidnapper is someone else. I gotta call Satoru right now. But before she could get a hold of him, the kidnapper caught her off guard at her place and stabbed her to death. At that exact time, Satoru was saying goodbye to Eri after finishing his shift at the restaurant. He headed back home and crossed paths with the kidnapper leaving the area. When Satoru walked inside, he found his mom murdered. He screamed in horror, and the neighbor, hearing the noise, came over, assumed Satoru did it, and called the cops. When the police showed up, Satoru bolted, but suddenly he went back in time. This time it wasn't just a few minutes like usual. He jumped back a whopping 18 years and found himself right back in the 5th grade, before the old kidnapping cases ever happened. Satoru was completely losing his mind and thought, "My revival ability must have sent me back to the past so I can stop the kidnappings and save my mom's life." Satoru was totally shook on his first day back. He walked into the classroom terrified, and his teacher, Mr. Gaku, noticed something was off. After school, Satoru went back to his old childhood home and was hit with a wave of joy, which doubled when his mom walked through the door from work and whipped up a meal for him. The next day he went to school and started keeping a close eye on Ko, the girl who was supposed to get kidnapped. Satoru noticed a bruise on Ko's leg but had no clue where it came from. Later, he was hanging out with his school buddies, Hiro, Kazu, Kenya, and Osamu, and they all noticed he was totally fixated on Ko, so they set up a time for him to meet up with her. Satoru figured Ko was his ticket to finding the real kidnapper, so he went to meet her. During their chat, Ko told him, "You know, we're actually pretty similar. Both you and I are fakes." Satoru replied, "I want us to be friends," but Ko challenged him, saying, "If you're really my friend, would you kill someone who's making my life miserable for me?" Satoru was stunned, and Ko just walked away. Satoru couldn't wrap his head around what Ko meant, but he felt like there was something huge behind her words. He kept tracking her. His buddy Kenya, who was super sharp, noticed Satoru was acting weird. One day on their way home, Kenya told him, "Ko always says she wants to run away from this city and live all by herself on an island. Honestly, I think she says that because her mom treats her like garbage." Right then, Satoru connected the dots and realized the bruise on Ko's leg was from her mom. Satoru followed Ko until he found her at a park, approached her, and handed her an invitation to his birthday party. Ko told him she'd show up and then walked off. At that moment, Satoru told himself, "I won't let her die. I'm going to change the future." Satoru started putting the pieces together in his head to pin down the exact day Ko went missing. He thought to himself, Ko wasn't the only one taken, my friend Hiro was kidnapped too. But when Hiro went missing, she was 11, while Ko was only 10. That means when Ko was snatched, her birthday hadn't happened yet. I need to find out when her birthday is. The next day, without Ko knowing, Satoru went to the teacher's lounge and asked their teacher, Mr. Gaku, about her birthday. Gaku told him her birthday is actually on the exact same day as yours, March 2nd. Satoru panicked and thought, oh crap, today is February 19th. That means Ko is going to be kidnapped sometime in the next 11 days. Satoru left school and went to hang out with Jun, talking up a storm just like the old days. After leaving his place, Satoru thought, I still stand by what I said, there is no way Jun is the kidnapper. Satoru walked until he reached Ko's house, only to find her in a shed next to the house, covered in bruises from her mom beating her. A moment later, her mom came out and dragged her inside, while Ko snapped at Satoru to go away. Satoru walked away, feeling completely heartbroken for her, while Ko's mom went right back to abusing her. The next day, Satoru went straight to Mr. Gaku and told him that Ko's mom was abusing her. Gaku said, I know. I've contacted child services before to have them take Ko away from her mother, but every time the caseworkers show up, Ko's mom takes her and runs. But I promise you, this time I'm not letting it slide. Later on, Satoru went back to the classroom, where a girl named Misato accused Ko of stealing some money. Misato totally hated Ko and claimed Ko stole the money because she's poor and broke. Satoru got super pissed, stood up for Ko, and snapped at Misato. Ko is not a thief. After school let out, Satoru grabbed Ko and told her, come with me, I want to show you a beautiful tree. Ko went along with him, and Satoru brought her right up to the tree and told her, we're definitely gonna come back here, just you and me, during the summer. Right then, Satoru thought to himself, this time I'm gonna save Ko no matter what. Satoru started mapping out the timeline in his head and remembered that back in the day, Ko went missing on March 1st, literally the day before their shared birthday. He realized he had to stick to Ko like glue over the next few days to protect her. So Satoru asked Ko to hang out, but she told him she couldn't go anywhere without her mom's green light. Satoru went straight to Ko's mom to ask, but she flat out rejected them and was about to get violent. Luckily, Satoru's mom happened to see what was happening, stepped in, stood up to Ko's mom, and managed to smooth talk her into letting Ko go. Everything went exactly according to Satoru's playbook. Days flew by, and March 1st, the dreaded day Ko was supposed to get snatched, finally arrived. Satoru stayed by her side the entire day, walked her back, and hung around until the clock passed midnight just to make sure the day ended without a hitch. When nothing went wrong, Satoru celebrated, thinking, just being with Ko kept the kidnapper away. I actually pulled it off. I changed the past and saved Ko. The next day was their birthday. Satoru and Ko walked back to his place to celebrate, and when they walked in, they found all their buddies waiting for them. They threw a massive party together. Afterward, Satoru walked Ko home and gave her a fresh pair of gloves as a birthday present. In return, Ko handed him her scarf and said, I'm still working on your actual birthday gift. I'll give it to you tomorrow. Satoru was on cloud 9 as he walked away, thinking today was incredible. I remember spending this birthday back then completely alone with just my mom. But today, I spent it with everyone I love. But the next day at school, Satoru kept waiting for Ko, and weirdly enough, she was a no-show. Satoru got a bad feeling, and right after school, he rushed to her house only to find out she had been kidnapped anyway. He broke down crying, realizing the past didn't change. Instead of getting taken on March 1st, she got snatched on March 3rd. I failed. While Satoru was spiraling, he suddenly snapped back to the present day, right where he left off, still running for his life from the cops. After failing in the past, Satoru evaded the police and headed straight to his boss's house to lay low. But his boss ended up dropping a dime on him and called the cops. Satoru was back on the run when Eri showed up to bail him out. He got in her ride, and she let him hide out at her place. The next day, the boss figured out Eri was harboring Satoru and was about to snitch on them, so Eri clocked him and told Satoru to beat it. What Eri didn't know was that the kidnapper was lurking in the shadows, watching her. That night, the killer sent her a text from Satoru's dead mom's phone, telling her to stay put inside the house. Right after that, the kidnapper torched Eri's house to take her out. Satoru saw the flames, rushed into the burning building, saved Eri, and dipped right as the sirens started wailing. Satoru went to see Sawada, a journalist who used to be tight with his mom. Sawada told him, look, I know everything about this case thanks to your mom, but unfortunately she never got a chance to tell me who the killer actually is. Satoru replied, the kidnapper is framing me for all of this. That's why he texted Eri from my mom's phone. He wanted the cops to find her phone, think I sent the text, and pin her murder on me. But what the killer doesn't know is that Eri handed me her phone while I was rescuing her. Sawada thought about it and said, the killer was tracking Eri. Maybe she saw him at the pizza joint before. She's probably at the hospital by now. I'll go check on her and see if she can give us any leads. You stay here in my office. There are files on Ko's old case. Look through them until I get back. Satoru started digging through the suspects' names from Ko's old file. A moment later, Eri's phone started buzzing. He picked up and it was Eri calling after escaping from the hospital. She told him, meet me at our usual spot. Satoru rushed over and asked her if anyone shady had been coming by the restaurant lately. Eri said, yeah, there's this guy named Nishizono who used to hang out with the boss. He's a city council member and he's super sketchy. Satoru checked the old suspect list, but the name Nishizono was nowhere to be found. While they were talking, the cops suddenly swarmed them, having tracked Eri's movements and busted Satoru. Eri tried to fight them off, but she couldn't stop them. As Satoru was being hauled off in cuffs, he spotted the kidnapper watching from a distance. Right then he prayed, "Send me back to the past one last time. I know I can save KO." Boom, Satoru's ability triggered again and he found himself back in the past. He ran the exact same playbook as before to get close to KO, but this time he looped in Kenya because Kenya was a sharp guy. On March 1st, Satoru stuck by KO and kept her safe. On March 2nd, their birthday, he started switching things up. He went out with Kenya and told him, "Based on the documents I saw at Sawada's place, KO didn't get kidnapped on March 3rd. She actually got snatched on the night of March 2nd. The killer grabbed her from the shed next to her house right after her mom beat her. I have to change the script." Satoru and Kenya went to get KO and hid her out in an abandoned bus so her mom couldn't lay a hand on her and the kidnapper wouldn't know where she was. KO stayed hidden in the bus until the next day. Shockingly, because her mom was so reckless and abusive, she didn't even report her missing to the cops. March 2nd passed smoothly with Satoru keeping KO under wraps. On March 3rd, KO handed Satoru a pair of gloves she had knitted herself as his birthday present. But right after Satoru headed home, the kidnapper pulled up to the bus. He had no clue KO was inside, so he just stashed a bag full of his kidnapping gear in the bus and took off. As the days rolled by, KO kept missing school and nobody knew where she was. Mr. Gaku called child services to track her down and get her away from her mother. But when the caseworkers went to her house, KO's mom skipped town. The next day, when Satoru found out the killer had visited the bus, he panicked and decided to bring KO straight to his house. The moment KO arrived at Satoru's place, Satoru's mom called Mr. Gaku to ease his mind and let him know KO was safe with them. KO spent the night with Satoru and his mom, experiencing real maternal warmth for the first time. The way Satoru's mom treated her with so much love contrasted so sharply with her own mother's brutality that she broke down crying. The following day, Satoru and his mom took KO back to her mother. KO's mom absolutely lost it when she saw them and screamed, "How dare you take my daughter from me?" They snapped back, "You didn't even bother looking for her." KO's mom lunged at Satoru's mom, but she had no idea Satoru's mom had already coordinated with Mr. Gaku to bring the child services workers along. They caught KO's mom red-handed, witnessing her abusive behavior firsthand, and legally stripped her of custody, handing KO over to her grandmother instead. KO left with her grandmother, waving goodbye to Satoru, who was wearing the gloves she made him. Satoru sighed with relief, thinking, "All right, KO is finally safe." But his relief was short-lived, because right after the killer lost his chance with KO, he targeted and kidnapped his other friend Hiro, and then went after. "There's this girl from the school next door named Aya. I've got to protect Hiro and Aya, and I've got to catch this killer." Satoru started hanging around Hiro and tried to get close to Aya to keep an eye on her. But one day, while he was tailing Aya, his mom caught him and dragged him along with her. By total chance, they bumped into Mr. Gaku, who offered them a ride in his car. Inside the car, Satoru let it slip to Gaku that he'd been hiding KO in that abandoned bus. While they were chatting, Satoru noticed a ton of candy in the car. Gaku told him, "Yeah, I quit smoking a while back and these sweets help me keep off the cigarettes." Satoru didn't think much of it and started snacking on some candy with him. The next day, Satoru teamed up with Kenya to pull double duty protecting Hiro and Aya. They spent every day with them. Satoru actually got to know Hiro better and realized, much to his surprise, that Hiro was actually a dude, not a girl. He'd totally forgotten because he was so wrapped up with KO and because everyone always mistook Hiro for a girl because of his looks. To keep Hiro safe, Satoru brought in Kazu, Osamu, and the rest of the crew. Satoru became the self-appointed bodyguard for both Hiro and Aya. They had no clue Satoru was a time traveler from the future. They just hung out because they were spooked by the kidnapper Satoru warned them about. Days went by until March 18th hit. Everyone was safe except for Misato, Satoru's classmate. She was always a loner, and Satoru realized, "Misato is sitting duck for the killer, I have to protect her." He found out from Hiro that Misato was heading to a hockey game, so he followed her. He ran into Gaku there by accident. Suddenly, Misato vanished. Satoru panicked, thinking she'd been snatched, and asked Gaku for help. Gaku told him to hop in his car so they could look for her. Satoru buckled his seatbelt, and that's when Gaku turned to him with a chilling look. "Don't sweat it, Misato wasn't kidnapped. I spiked her drink with a laxative so she'd be stuck in the bathroom. I did that just to bait you into looking for her and getting in this car with me. By the way, I'm the one who told Hiro that Misato would be at the game because I knew you'd show up. You were always one step ahead of me, Satoru. It's like you could see the future. I'm the killer you've been looking for. I was gonna take KO, Hiro, and Aya, but you blocked me every time. That's why you're the one who has to die." Gaku drove Satoru to a remote spot next to a frozen lake. Satoru tried to unbuckle his seatbelt to bail, but it was jammed. Gaku smirked, "That belt isn't coming off, and by the way, this isn't even my car." Gaku hopped out, propped a ball on the gas pedal, and sent the car with Satoru trapped inside, plunging into the freezing water. As the car sank, Satoru realized with horror, "Gaku was on the suspect list Sawada showed me. How did I miss that?" Satoru screamed at Gaku, "I know your future. Gaku watched him sink for a bit, then just walked away, leaving him for dead. Satoru didn't die, but he didn't wake up either. He fell into a deep coma that lasted for 15 years. When he finally opened his eyes, his mom was in total shock. He was moved to a hospital, but he'd lost a huge chunk of his memory. His old buddies, Kenya and Hiro, came to visit him. Then Ko showed up carrying a baby. She had actually married Hiro. But they weren't the only ones who visited. Gaku showed up too. He told Satoru, "I've been waiting 15 years for you to wake up." Gaku took Satoru up to the hospital roof. Satoru looked at him and said, "My memory came flooding back right after Ko left. I remember everything now. I know you're the killer." Gaku admitted it. "Spot on. I kept you alive all these years because I had to know. How did you sabotage all my plans? And what did you mean when you said you knew my future?" Satoru looked him in the eye and said, "I'm not telling you a damn thing, because if I do, you'll just kill me. I already beat you years ago when I saved Ko, Hiro, and Aya, and now I'm gonna beat you again." Satoru suddenly charged his wheelchair toward the edge of the roof to end it all. Gaku panicked, rushed over, and caught him. Satoru laughed. "I knew you'd do that. You want the secret. I came from the future. I jumped back over and over until I shut you down." Gaku let go of the chair, letting Satoru fall, but when he looked over the edge, he saw Satoru's mom and friends had a safety net ready. They'd caught him. It was all a setup. Satoru had coordinated the whole thing with them and recorded the entire confession on a phone. The cops swarmed in and busted Gaku for attempted murder, finally closing the book on the case. A few days later, Satoru was discharged from the hospital. He looked around and thought, "This future right here, this is the best one possible. Even if I lost 15 years in a coma, it was worth it to save my friends and finally get justice against Gaku." Satoru went back to his normal life. He returned to drawing manga and became a massive success. He lost his ability to jump through time, but he didn't care. He was finally happy in the present. One day, while heading home, he ran into Eri. He started getting to know her all over again, because in this new timeline, she didn't know him at all. And that's the end of the anime Erased, Boku Date ga Animecaps, released in 2016. It's ranked 41 on the list of the greatest anime of all time. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and smash the like button.